Hello, welcome to the channel Wise Stories. Enjoy watching.
Let your hen live a week, she'll be clucking a different tune. My husband's mistress confidently advised him on how to teach me some discipline. But when my husband returned a week later and walked up to our apartment, he froze right there in the stairwell when he saw. Hello, dear listeners. Today we dive into a gripping tale of betrayal, where love and trust collide with lies and selfishness. This is the story of a woman whose attention to detail unraveled the bitter truth about her marriage, turning a cozy home into a battleground for her dignity. We wish you an engaging listen and good health. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button so you don't miss any of our future stories. Isabel Carpa always said, when a woman starts noticing the little things, trouble isn't far behind. And Carmen Nicole Tinoco always noticed the little things. Even when she worked as a warehouse manager at a furniture factory, she always knew exactly how many screws were missing and which of the movers had taken home an extra pack of nails. So when strange things began happening in the apartment she shared with Constantino, she sensed it immediately. It all started with little things. Constantino began staying late at work, claiming he was tied up with new projects at the construction company. But what shocked Carmen the most was how suddenly he began taking care of himself. In their 12 years of marriage, she'd grown used to his sloppiness, dirty dishes, socks everywhere, 3-day stubble on weekends. And now daily showers, a new cologne, and even ironing his shirts. Constantino, are you aiming for a promotion or something? Carmen asked one morning as she watched him carefully fix his hair in front of the mirror. What promotion? He scoffed without turning. Just decided to take better care of myself. I'm 42 already, high time. Carmen bit her tongue. She was 38 and had always looked after herself without any reminders, working in an office, wearing tailored suits, getting a manicure every 2 weeks. Constantino used to mock her for her fuss over appearances. That same day at work, she confided in her colleague Elena Leon about her husband's strange behavior. Carmen, have you ever thought? Elena began, then hesitated. Thought what? Oh, nothing. It's just, men at that age sometimes, how should I put it, start reevaluating things. Carmen frowned. Elena was 15 years older and always spoke in cryptic hints, especially when it came to husbands. That evening, Constantino came home with a bouquet of tulips. Yellow ones. Fresh and expensive in March, they probably cost half her monthly salary. What's the occasion? Carmen asked, surprised as she accepted the flowers. No reason. Can a man give his wife flowers just because? But there was a strange uncertainty in his voice, as if he didn't even believe his own words. Carmen put the tulips in a vase and sat down to dinner. Constantino was silent, staring at his phone. Constantino, do you remember the last time you gave me flowers? She asked. He looked up from the screen, and in his eyes, she saw something close to fear. I don't remember. Why, should I keep track of every bouquet? No, of course not. It's just, last year for my birthday, you gave me a blender. So what? That's useful. Constantino turned back to his phone, his shoulders visibly tense. Carmen would have ignored that before, but now, every little thing seemed to matter. 2 days later, Carmen accidentally overheard a strange phone conversation. She came home earlier than usual. The office had let her go because of a computer issue and heard Constantino's voice from the stairwell. He was speaking quietly, but the walls in their building were thin. No, not today. Yes, I understand. Don't make a scene, I already explained. Carmen froze, keys in hand. Her husband's tone was completely different, soft, even tender, a tone he hadn't used with her in 3 years. Tomorrow at 6 for sure. No, she suspects nothing. Of course I miss you. Carmen's heart dropped into her stomach. She slowly inserted the key and turned it in the lock, as quietly as she could. Constantino immediately fell silent. I'll call you later, he muttered and hung up. When Carmen stepped into the hallway, he was standing at the window, looking out. His phone lay screen down on the windowsill. You're home early, he said without turning. Computer broke at work. They sent us home. Who were you talking to? Sergio. Work stuff. But Carmen knew Sergio Miguel's voice, their foreman. It was rough and raspy from smoking. And Constantino had been speaking in a completely different tone. What did he want? Oh, nothing much. Just asking about some material usage. Finally, Constantino turned around, and Carmen saw that his face was flushed as if he'd been running. I'm going to take a shower, he said, and quickly disappeared into the bathroom. Carmen walked to the window and picked up his phone. The screen was locked with a password. Constantino had never used a password before. He used to say it was silly he had nothing to hide. During dinner, she tried to spark a conversation. "How's work going, Constantino? Did Sergio Miguel need something urgent?" "No, just the usual stuff." "Are you spying on me now?" There was a sharpness in his voice that Carmen didn't expect. "What are you talking about?" "I'm just asking." "Well, don't. I've got enough problems as it is." They finished their meal in silence. Constantino was gloomy and irritable all evening. Before bed, he locked himself in the bathroom for half an hour. Carmen could hear him talking on the phone, but couldn't make out the words. That night, she lay awake for hours, unable to sleep. She kept thinking about how, in 12 years of marriage, she had never doubted Constantino. He'd always been reliable, predictable, sometimes dull but honest. Or at least she had thought so. In the morning, Constantino left for work earlier than usual, saying he had an early meeting. Carmen watched him go and noticed he wasn't heading toward the bus stop, he was walking to the taxi stand. At work, she couldn't concentrate. Her mind kept going back to the conversation last night and how much her husband had changed. Elena Leon tried to talk to her a few times, but Carmen answered in monosyllables. "Carmen, are you feeling okay?" Elena finally asked during the lunch break. "I'm fine. Just thinking about silly stuff." "What kind of silly stuff?" Carmen hesitated. It felt awkward to share her suspicions with a coworker, but holding it all inside was becoming unbearable. "Elena, have you ever noticed your Pedro acting strange?" Elena put down her fork and looked at her friend closely. "What do you mean by strange?" "Well, talking differently, taking care of himself, buying gifts for no reason." "Aha, I see what you're getting at," Elena said slowly. "Carmen, how long has this been going on?" "About 2 weeks." Elena went quiet, clearly thinking something over. "Listen to me carefully. Pedro did the same thing. About 7 years ago. Started dressing sharp, buying cologne, hiding his phone from me. And guess what? Turned out he was having an affair with the accountant from the department next door. It went on for 6 months. Carmen's hands went cold. "And you? Did you get divorced?" "No. I threw such a fit he dropped her on the spot. But the trust was gone. Even now, sometimes I still check his phone." Carmen finished her lunch in silence and spent the rest of the day in a daze. Could Constantino really be cheating on her? But with whom? And more importantly, why? They seemed to have a good life together. Not rich, but not poor either. They had a 2-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood. No car, but they didn't really need one. She had always believed their family was strong. That evening, Constantino came home late again. Said he was stuck on site, but he didn't smell like a construction site. Normally, after work, he carried the scent of dust, cement, and paint. Tonight, he smelled like a hair salon. "Constantino, where were you?" "At work, like I said." "But you're so clean." "Took a shower there. We've got one for the workers." Carmen knew there was no shower at his construction site. Constantino had complained many times about having to come home dirty. "Why did you put a password on your phone?" Constantino whipped around to face her. "Since when are you snooping through my phone?" "I'm not snooping. I just noticed." "Oh, you noticed, did you? What else have you noticed?" There was open hostility in his voice now. Carmen didn't like this side of him. He had never been aggressive before. "Nothing. I was just surprised." "Well, don't be. I've got work stuff on my phone. Confidential information. The bosses are making us use passwords." It was a lie, and Carmen knew it. Constantino was just a foreman. There was no confidential information he could possibly have. At night, he was once again locking himself in the bathroom, whispering to someone on the phone. Carmen pressed her ear to the door, but couldn't make out any words, only the soft, tender tone of his voice. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling. 12 years of marriage. 12 years thinking she knew this man inside out, and now she realized she hadn't known him at all. The next day, Carmen decided to go to the market for groceries. She usually shopped at the store near their building, but today she wanted fresh vegetables. At the market, she ran into Zenaida Federica, their neighbor from the building. "Oh, Carmen," Zenaida said cheerfully. "How are you? How's Constantino Jorge?" "All fine, thank you. Why?" "Oh, I saw him yesterday downtown, near Cafe Encuentro. He was walking with some lady." Carmen's hands began to tremble. "Maybe a coworker," she said, trying to sound calm. "Could be," Zenaida replied, but there was doubt in her voice. Only, they were standing very close. He was whispering something into her ear. What did she look like? Young. About 30. Dyed blonde, tall. Dressed well, I must say. Expensive purse, heels. And she laughed very loud. Carmen bought her vegetables and barely held back tears. So Elena had been right. Constantino was having an affair. At home, she sat in the kitchen, trying to collect herself. Maybe Zenaida was mistaken. Maybe it really was a coworker. But deep down, she knew she was lying to herself. When Constantino came home, Carmen tried to act normal. She made dinner, set the table, asked him about work. But he seemed distracted, answering at random. "Where did you have lunch yesterday?" she asked, as innocently as she could. "At work. In the cafeteria. I thought maybe you went downtown. For materials? Or something else?" Constantino looked up at her, and she saw a flicker of alarm in his eyes. "Why would I go downtown? We get everything from the base." "Just a thought. You've been doing a lot of thinking lately. You should think more about the house." That was unfair. Carmen had always run the household perfectly. The apartment was spotless, the food delicious, the laundry pressed. But she didn't argue. After dinner, Constantino sat down to watch TV, and Carmen washed the dishes. Suddenly, his phone rang. He grabbed it quickly and ran out to the balcony. Carmen turned off the water and listened. He spoke quietly, but the silence in the room made it possible to catch fragments. "Miss you so much. Tomorrow, for sure. I can't wait any longer." That was enough. Carmen wiped her hands with a towel and sat on the couch. So it was true. Her husband was having an affair. When Constantino returned from the balcony, his face looked guilty. "That was Sergio," he said without looking at her. "I have to be at work early tomorrow." "I see." They went to bed in silence. Constantino turned to the wall and started snoring almost instantly. Carmen lay awake, thinking about what to do next. Start a fight? Demand answers? Or gather more proof first? She was a practical woman. She liked to have a plan. First, she needed to know for sure what was going on. Then she could decide what to do. In the morning, after Constantino left for work, Carmen called his company. The secretary, someone Carmen knew personally, picked up. "Hello, this is Carmen, Constantino Jorge Tinoco's wife." "Oh, Carmen, how are you?" "I'm well, thank you. Could you tell me if Constantino is at work today?" "Wait, you didn't know? He's been on vacation since Monday. Took 2 weeks off." Carmen's breath caught. "Vacation?" "Yeah, he said you were doing some home renovations." "Why? Is something wrong?" No, I just forgot. Thanks." Carmen hung up and sank into a chair. So Constantino hadn't been going to work for a week, but he told her he was stuck on site. Where had he been spending his time? The answer was obvious with the blonde woman Zenaida Federica had seen. Carmen got dressed and went downtown. She found Cafe Encuentro and went inside. Ordered a coffee and sat at a window table. Maybe she'd see them together. She sat for 2 hours, but no one familiar appeared. Instead, she got to know the waitress, a chatty and curious girl named Alicia. "Waiting for someone?" Alicia asked as she cleared away the empty cup. "Sort of. A friend. We planned to meet here yesterday." "What does she look like?" "Maybe I saw her." "Blonde. Tall. She was with a man." "Oh, them," Alicia said, suddenly animated. "They've been coming here almost every day. For about a week now. So in love, it's nauseating. He keeps complimenting her, and she giggles constantly. Yesterday, he gave her a ring." Carmen's vision blurred. "A ring?" "Yeah, a pretty one, gold." She was so happy, she almost fell off her chair. "Said he's going to leave his wife soon and marry her." Carmen stood up and nearly ran out of the cafe. Outside, she was nearly hit by a car. She crossed the street without looking. Back home, she sat in the kitchen, trying to pull her thoughts together. Constantino wasn't just cheating on her. He was planning to leave her. And he'd already bought the other woman a ring. In 12 years of marriage, he had never once given Carmen jewelry. Said it was a waste of money. That evening, Constantino came home in especially high spirits. He was whistling, gave Carmen a hug, even kissed her on the cheek. "You're in a good mood," she said, studying his face. "Just a good day. Everything's great at work. How's the renovation going? The one you're doing?" He paused for a second, caught off guard. "What renovation? You said you've been coming home late because of the work site." "Oh, right. It's going fine. We're almost done." But he was clearly lying. Carmen could tell by the way he looked away. Over dinner, Constantino was unusually talkative, telling stories about coworkers, joking, even helping clear the table. That hadn't happened in years. "Constantino," Carmen said as she loaded the dishwasher, "are there any women at your job?" "Yeah. Why?" "Just wondering. Are they young?" Some. Why do you ask? Just curious. Constantino came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. Are you jealous? He asked. Maybe. Silly. I don't need anyone but you. But the kiss he gave her was mechanical, like a duty, and his hands were trembling. An hour later, he locked himself in the bathroom again, phone in hand. Carmen approached the door and caught fragments of the conversation. Yeah, everything's fine. She doesn't suspect anything. Soon. Just wait a little longer. Then he said something about a trip, about how everything had to be carefully planned. When Constantino came out of the bathroom, he looked pensive. Carmen, he said, sitting beside her on the couch, I need to go see my mother tomorrow. Your mother? What happened? She's not feeling well. Asked me to come help her around the house. Carmen knew her mother-in-law well. Ana Sergia was as strong as a horse, a 70-year-old woman who treated others with home remedies and never got sick herself. And she didn't live alone. Her younger son Bernardo lived with her. What's wrong with her? Her blood pressure is acting up. And Bernardo's away on a business trip. How long will you be gone? 5 days. Maybe a week. She wants me to dig up the garden, fix the fence. That was odd too. Ana Sergia always prided herself on managing everything on her own. And the garden was tiny, a single day's work, at most. Constantino, maybe I'll come with you. I can cook for her, help around the house. No need, he replied too quickly. I mean, there's no point. I can handle it. But why waste your vacation? I can go instead. I've got time off saved up. Still, I could help. She specifically asked me to come alone. She says she's embarrassed to seem weak in front of you. That was utter nonsense. Ana Sergia adored Carmen and had never been shy about anything. When are you leaving? Tomorrow morning. The bus leaves at 9. I'll walk you to the station. No need. I'll get there myself. Constantino was on edge the whole evening, pacing, sitting down, lighting a cigarette on the balcony. Carmen pretended to watch TV but was observing him carefully. Before bed, she decided to test her suspicions. Constantino, give me Ana Sergia's number. I want to call and check how she's doing. Why? I just spoke to her. Still, I'd like to hear her voice. She's like a second mother to me. Her phone's not working. The line was damaged during the storm. How did you talk to her then? Bernardo called me from work. Passed along the message. His lies were getting bolder. Bernardo was a long-haul trucker, always on the road. And there hadn't been any storms lately. I see, Carmen said calmly. Well, tell her I send my love. I will. Constantino kissed her on the forehead and went to bed. Carmen lay beside him, knowing full well he wasn't going to see his mother, he was going to his mistress. And he planned to stay with her for a whole week. In the morning, Constantino packed a bag. Strangely, he packed more nice clothes than work clothes, nothing you'd wear for digging gardens or fixing fences. I'm off, he said, kissing Carmen goodbye. Safe travels. Take care. Of course. I'll call you. He left, and Carmen went to the window to watch. Constantino exited the building and didn't head for the bus stop. He walked in the opposite direction. A white foreign car was waiting for him. A woman was behind the wheel. Carmen couldn't see her face, but the hair was unmistakably blonde. Constantino got in, and they drove away. So, all her suspicions were confirmed. Her husband was cheating, and he wasn't even trying to hide it. Worse, he was planning to spend a full week with the other woman. Carmen sat in the kitchen, trying to decide what to do. She could create a scene when he got back. She could gather evidence and file for divorce. Or, she remembered what Elena Leon had said, the trust is never the same. Even if Constantino begged forgiveness and left the blonde, how could she ever trust him again? How could she sleep at night knowing he was capable of this? Carmen was a strong woman. She'd always relied on herself and couldn't stand being lied to. 12 years of marriage had taught her a lot about life and herself. And now she understood one thing clearly: she deserved better than a cheating husband who lied to her and bought rings for other women. The week ahead would be long, but Carmen knew exactly how she'd use it. For the first 2 days, she moved in a daze. Worked mechanically, answered colleagues in monosyllables, sat by the window at home and thought. Constantino called every evening, talking about the garden, saying Ana Sergia was getting better. His voice was cheerful, even carefree. What does your mom say? Carmen would ask. She says she misses you, tells you not to worry. Has Bernardo come back from his trip? Not yet. He's due back next week. Every word was a lie, but Constantino said it so smoothly, as if he believed it himself. By Wednesday morning, Carmen had made a decision. She couldn't sit at home wondering anymore. She needed answers. She took a day off from work and traveled to her mother-in-law's village. The trip took 2 hours by bus. Ana Sergia lived in a small house with a garden, 30 kilometers from the city. Carmen found her outside, watering flowers and humming to herself. Carmen, Ana Sergia exclaimed in surprise. What are you doing here? Where's Constantino? Isn't he with you? With me? Why would he be? I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. Carmen's heart sank. Any last hope that she'd been wrong collapsed completely. Ana Sergia, are you feeling unwell? Me? Oh, sweetheart, I'm as healthy as a horse. Yesterday I worked all day in the garden, and today I cleaned the whole house. Why? Did Constantino say something? Carmen sat on the bench near the house. Her legs were trembling. He said you were sick, that you asked him to come help around the house. Ana Sergia frowned. That's strange. Why would he lie? And anyway, where is he now? I don't know, Carmen admitted honestly. Probably with another woman. Her mother-in-law sat down beside her on the bench. Oh, Carmen, are you sure? Almost. He's been acting strange the past few weeks, taking care of himself, hiding his phone, coming home late. And today I found out he's been on vacation for a whole week. Bastard, muttered Ana Sergia. Sorry for the language, but there's no better word. They sat in silence. For some reason, Carmen didn't cry. Inside, she felt cold and empty, but there were no tears. So what are you going to do? Ana Sergia asked. I don't know yet. I need to think it through carefully. That's right. You're a smart woman, you'll figure it out. And if you need to talk, just come over. Constantino may be my son, but he's in the wrong here. On the way home, Carmen started planning her next steps. First, she needed more information. Where was Constantino spending his time? Who was the woman? How serious was their relationship? On Thursday, Carmen took another day off work and went to the detective agency Verdad, advertised in the local newspaper. She was received by a tired-looking man in his 50s. Husband cheating? He clarified after hearing her story. That's our specialty. Surveillance, photos, video. What exactly are you looking for? Everything. Where he goes, who he meets, what he's planning. Understood. The man quoted his price. Carmen didn't have that kind of money. Her salary was modest, and she never had a chance to save. Every cent went to the household. Upset, she wandered through the city center, wondering how she could afford a private investigator. Then she saw a familiar face. Sitting at a table in a sidewalk cafe was Isabel Paula Cruz, her former classmate. They hadn't spoken in about 10 years, but in school, they'd been friends. Carmen. Isabel lit up. It's been ages. Sit down, have a coffee with me. Isabel looked amazing. Expensive suit, gold jewelry, manicured hands. She worked at a bank and clearly made good money. How's life? How's the family? She asked Carmen. I remember your husband Constantino, right? Handsome guy. Yeah, Carmen nodded. What about you? Married? I was. Divorced 3 years ago. That bastard cheated left and right. I might have forgiven him, but he left for his mistress. And how did you deal with it? Honestly, I'm better off. Freedom is worth a lot, you know. Isabel looked at Carmen closely. But you look sad. Something wrong? Carmen hesitated, then decided to tell her everything. Isabel listened carefully, occasionally shaking her head. I see, she said when Carmen finished. Classic case. So, what are you planning to do? I want to hire a detective, but I can't afford it. Why do you need a detective? I can help. I've got connections. I can find out everything through people I know. Seriously? Of course. Just give me his details, name, where he works, phone number. I'll have answers in a few days. Carmen scribbled down Constantino's information on a napkin. Thank you so much. I owe you. Don't be silly. We're friends. Besides, I love this kind of detective work. The next day, Isabel called. Carmen, I've got news. Your husband is renting an apartment in a new building on Avenida de la Juventud. 2-bedroom, 2nd floor. Lives there with someone named Ina Bernardo Baranos, 28 years old, divorced, works as an administrator at the Atlanti Fitness Club. Carmen felt dizzy. How did you find all that out? A friend of mine works for the property management company. She gave me the address. From there, it was just a matter of checking databases. What else do you know about Ina? Divorced 2 years ago. No kids. She's been renting the place for a month. And guess what? She's not the one paying. The payments come from a certain Tinoco Constantino Jorge. So the affair had been going on for a month. And Constantino wasn't just cheating, he was supporting his mistress. Can you give me the address? Sure. Just Be careful. Don't do anything reckless in the heat of the moment. I won't. I just want to see her. Isabel dictated the address, and Carmen wrote it down in her notebook. Thank you so much. I don't know how to repay you. No need. Just keep me posted. That evening, Carmen went to Avenida de la Juventud. The building was indeed new and upscale, 9 stories, with a doorman and underground parking. Definitely expensive. She stood across the street and watched. After half an hour, Constantino came out. He was wearing new jeans and a leather jacket Carmen had never seen before. A tall blonde in a red coat followed him out. There she is, the other woman. Ina Bernardo Baranos. Beautiful, well-groomed, stylish. At least 10 years younger than Carmen. They got into a car, the same white foreign car Constantino had left home in. So it was hers. Carmen watched them drive away and headed home. Now she knew everything. All that remained was to decide what to do with it. On Saturday morning, Constantino called and said he'd be staying a few extra days. Mom asked me to fix the shed roof. It'll take 2 more days. I see. How's she feeling? Better. Her blood pressure's back to normal. Send her my regards. Of course. After the call, Carmen sat down and wrote out a plan. She was an organized person and used to planning everything in advance. First, she needed more intel. She had to find out how serious Constantino's intentions were and what he was telling the mistress about their marriage. Carmen got dressed and went to the Atlante Fitness Club. It was a high-end gym in the city center, with premium prices. A membership cost about half of Carmen's monthly salary. I'd like to sign up for a trial session, she said to the receptionist. Of course. What kind of training are you interested in? Well, I'd like to speak to the administrator first. Find out more about the memberships. I'll call Ina Bernardo. A minute later, the very same blonde Carmen had seen the day before came to the front desk. Up close, she looked even more attractive, large green eyes, flawless makeup, a slender figure. Welcome to Atlante, she said warmly. My name is Ina Bernardo. How can I help you? I'd like to start working out, but I'm not sure where to begin. Perfect. Let me walk you through everything. For the next half hour, Ina explained the training programs, showed her around the gym, and went over the membership options. She was friendly, attentive, professional, easy to talk to. How long have you worked here? Carmen asked. 3 years now. I love it. And how does your family feel about your schedule? I don't have a family yet, Ina laughed. But I do have a boyfriend. He's still married for now, but he's getting a divorce soon, and then we'll get married. Carmen's heart skipped a beat. So Constantino really is promising to marry her. Was he married long? She asked casually. 12 years. But, Ina said, he says his wife got boring. Too old. There's no spark between them anymore. Every word hit Carmen like a slap, but she kept her composure. How did you two meet? At work. He's in construction, and I came by their office once on business. There was a spark right away. He courted me for a month, and then I said yes. I see. And when's the divorce happening? Soon. He's preparing his wife mentally right now. Says he wants to handle it gently, so she's not too shocked. Preparing her mentally. Carmen gave a bitter smile to herself. Interesting way to describe lying and sneaking around. So, shall I sign you up? Ina asked cheerfully. I'll think about it. Thanks for the consultation. Anytime. We'd love to have you at our club. Carmen left the fitness club with a heavy heart. Now she knew everything. Constantino wasn't just cheating, he was planning a divorce and a new life. And he called her, his wife of 12 years, old and boring. At home, she sat down and tried to gather her thoughts. What hurt most wasn't the affair itself, it was how easily he dismissed her. 12 years of marriage, and he talked about her like she was an unwanted obligation. That evening, Isabel called. So, did you go see the other woman? I did. I even talked to her. Seriously? Tell me everything. Carmen recounted the conversation at the fitness club. That bastard, Isabel fumed. Old and boring? Please, you look better than half the 30-year-olds I know. Can I ask you one more favor? Of course. What is it? Find out where they spend time. What places they go to, what they do. That's a bit trickier, but I'll try. I know a private investigator. Maybe he can help for a small fee. I'd be really grateful. The next day, Isabel called back. Your husband's living it up, restaurants, movies, theaters. Last night they were at Continental, the most expensive restaurant in town. The night before that, they were shopping at El Anillo, the jewelry store. A ring? Yep, an engagement ring. The salesgirl said they took their time choosing, even measured her finger. They ordered an engraving, to Anna from Constantino, with love. Carmen felt everything inside her tighten with pain. So they were really planning a wedding. But where's the money coming from? Constantino doesn't earn that much. Well, here's the kicker: he took out a loan. A big one. 400,000 pesos. A loan? Yep. Took it out last week. Looks like he's decided to live the high life. Carmen felt dizzy. 400,000 pesos. And he hadn't even told her. They were still legally married. That debt was legally hers too. Thank you. You've helped me so much. Don't mention it. What are you going to do? I'm still thinking. But in truth, Carmen had already made up her mind. Constantino had crossed every line. Cheating was one thing. Lying was another. But taking out a massive loan without her consent? He clearly thought she would help pay it off. He had no idea how wrong he was. On Sunday, Constantino called again. I'm coming back tomorrow. Mom's all better. I've taken care of everything. Okay, I'll be waiting. Did you miss me? Very much. But there wasn't a trace of warmth in her voice. Constantino didn't seem to notice. I missed you too. Can't wait to be back home with my beloved wife. Hypocrite. Carmen hung up and began planning the next day. On Monday morning, she got up early and went to Avenida de la Juventud. She wanted to take one last look at their little love nest. She sat in a cafe across from the building and ordered a coffee. From here, she had a clear view of the apartment's second-floor windows. Around 10 a.m., Anna came out onto the balcony. She was wearing a bathrobe and talking on the phone. Carmen couldn't hear the words, but the conversation was clearly emotional. Anna gestured often and laughed a lot. Half an hour later, a taxi pulled up, and Constantino got out with a bag in hand. He looked up, waved to Anna, and disappeared into the building. Carmen was about to leave, but then she heard his voice again. Constantino had come out onto the balcony. He and Anna were talking. Don't worry so much, he was saying. Everything's going to be fine. But what if she makes a scene? What if she refuses the divorce? She won't. She's easygoing. She'll yell a little, then give in. And if she doesn't? Then we'll force her, Constantino said. I have a plan. Anna laughed. What plan? Let your chicken live alone for a week. She'll start singing a different tune. That's how my husband's mistress confidently instructed him on how to teach me a lesson. Carmen froze, holding her coffee cup. Chicken? He calls her a chicken? And what if she doesn't start singing? Anna giggled. Oh, she will. Don't worry. Women can't live without men for long, especially ones like Carmen. She's the domestic type, used to having decisions made for her. After a week alone, she'll get scared and beg me to come back. And then I'll set my conditions. What kind of conditions? No complaints about the divorce. The apartment stays with her. I don't want it. In return, she doesn't ask for alimony and doesn't make trouble. And why are you so sure she'll agree to that? Because she has no alternatives. 38. Not exactly a beauty. Boring job. Who'd want her? She'll cling to me till the end. And the loan? She can pay it. It's in my name, but we're still legally married, so it's a joint debt. Anna burst out laughing. You're a genius. So she'll be paying off your debt too? Exactly. And you and I will start our new life, debt-free and obligation-free. And what if she refuses to pay the loan? She won't. It'll ruin her credit, and then she won't be able to get anything: a house, a car. She won't risk that. Carmen listened to their conversation, icy fury rising inside her. So they had it all planned. He would leave her with a 400,000 peso debt and walk into a fresh start with his young mistress. Chicken. Domestic. Not pretty. They kept talking, but Carmen stopped listening. She stood up, paid for her coffee, and walked out of the cafe. Outside, she stopped and took a deep breath. Her hands were shaking from rage, but her mind was clear. Constantino was very wrong about her character. Yes, she was domestic. Yes, she liked stability. But submissive? Fearful? Never. He thought she'd beg him to stay? That she'd agree to pay his debt and thank him for leaving her the apartment? He didn't know his wife at all. Carmen pulled out her phone and called the locksmith. Hello, I need my apartment locks changed urgently. Is that possible today? Possible. What kind of locks? The most secure. And I need the old keys to stop working. Got it. What's the address? Carmen gave the address and scheduled the appointment. Then she called Isabel. Isabel, can you come over today? I need your help. Of course. What's going on? I'll tell you when you get here. But please come. I'll be there in an hour. Her next call was to a legal office. Hello. If a husband takes out a loan without his wife's consent, is she obligated to pay it? Only if you can't prove the money wasn't used for family needs, the lawyer replied. Would you like to book a consultation? Yes. Today if possible? We have an opening at 4. Carmen noted the address and headed home to prepare for her husband's return, but not in the way he expected. Constantino thought she was a chicken, that she'd beg him to come back. He was about to find out exactly what kind of chicken she really was. Time would tell who'd be singing a different tune. Isabel arrived an hour later with a cake and a bottle of champagne. What are we celebrating? She asked, eyeing her friend's serious face. Nothing yet, but soon we'll be celebrating a new beginning. Carmen told her about the conversation she had overheard. Isabel's eyes widened as she listened. Chicken? She repeated indignantly. He's lost his damn mind. And now he wants to dump that loan on you? He does. But I've got other plans. At 2 o'clock, the locksmith arrived, a young man in a work uniform. Here to change the locks? He asked. What kind are we installing? The most secure. I want to be sure the old keys won't work anymore. Got it. That means we'll replace the whole cylinder. I also recommend adding a second lock for extra protection. Do it. While the locksmith worked, Carmen and Isabel had tea in the kitchen. What are you going to do with his stuff? Isabel asked. I'll pack it up. He can come pick it up. And the apartment? It's mine. I bought it before the marriage. Constantino's just registered here. Then you're doing everything right. You've got every right to kick him out. The locksmith finished around 4. He'd installed 2 locks, the main one and an additional one. He handed the keys only to Carmen. No one will get in without your permission, he assured her. After he left, Carmen went to see the lawyer. The consultation lasted an hour, and what she learned gave her peace of mind. You bought the apartment before the marriage? The lawyer confirmed. Yes, I have all the documents. Then your husband has no claim to it. As for the loan, if you can prove the funds weren't used for the household, you're not responsible. How do I prove that? You'll need witnesses, receipts, and statements. If you used the money to rent an apartment for a mistress, buy her gifts, that's not family spending. I have information about exactly where the money went. Perfect. Then there won't be any problems. File for divorce and request a debt separation. Carmen returned home feeling lighter. Legally, she was protected. Now she just had to prepare mentally. That evening, she began packing Constantino's things. Clothes went into bags, documents into a separate folder. She worked methodically, without emotion. 12 years of marriage fit neatly into 5 large bags. By the time she finished, it was late. Isabel had already left, and the apartment was silent. Carmen sat on the couch and, for the first time in days, felt truly exhausted. Tomorrow, Constantino would return, expecting to find a submissive wife, ready to beg him to stay. Instead, he would find the locks changed and his belongings packed. She wondered what he'd tell his chicken then. On Tuesday morning, the doorbell rang. Carmen looked through the peephole and was surprised Ana Sergio was standing outside. Come in, Carmen said, opening the door. How did you get here? By bus. Bernardo got back from his trip and gave me a lift into the city. Her mother-in-law walked into the kitchen and sat down at the table. Her face was set with resolve. Carmen, Constantino called me last night. He was drunk, rambling nonsense. About some woman named Ina, about how he's planning to get a divorce. Carmen froze with her cup in hand. And what did you say to him? I told him if he left a good wife for some fool, he was no longer my son. He started making excuses, lying that you don't understand him, that there's no love between you. Ana Sergia pulled a stack of papers from her bag. I told him, Constantino, do you think I'm stupid? I see how Carmen treats you. For 12 years she cared for you like a child. That's when he slipped and started talking about the blonde. What exactly did he say? That she's young, beautiful, understanding. That with her, he feels like a real man. But with you, he said, it's like living with a sister. Carmen gave a bitter smile. And you? I told him flat out, you're a disgrace and a fool. You gave up a good woman for a cheap fling. I'm ashamed of you. He hung up on her. She hadn't slept the whole night, thinking about what to do. Ana Sergia placed some documents on the table. These are my medical records, proof that I'm healthy. Haven't been to the doctor in the last 3 months. If you need to prove in court that he lied about my illness, I'm ready to testify. Carmen's breath caught. She hadn't expected such support. Ana Sergia, but he's your son. Son or not, what's right is right. I raised him to be an honest man, and he turned into a liar. I don't want you to suffer because of him. The older woman fell silent for a moment, staring out the window. You know, Carmen, I've watched you two for 12 years. You were always a good wife to him. You kept the house, cooked, cleaned. He took it all for granted. Maybe you spoiled him, but that's no excuse to cheat. What should I do now? Divorce him. Don't forgive. Don't believe any promises. Men like that don't change. He'll just find another fool and start lying all over again. Anna Sergia stood and hugged her daughter-in-law. You're still young. Beautiful. You'll find someone better. Let that blonde try re-educating him. Thank you. I don't even know what to say. Don't say anything. Just live for yourself. And if you ever need help, call me. I'll do what I can. She left around noon, and Carmen felt lighter. Anna Sergia's support had been unexpected but deeply meaningful. Now she knew she wasn't alone. That evening, Constantino called. I'll be home tomorrow morning. Miss me? Very much, Carmen lied. How's everything at home? All good? Great. I even made some changes to the apartment. What changes? You'll see tomorrow. It's a surprise. Constantino laughed. I love surprises, especially from my dear wife. After the call, Carmen turned off her phone. She didn't want to hear another word of his lies. She spent her last evening in the apartment where she had been Constantino Tinoco's wife for 12 years. Tomorrow, that life would be over and a new one would begin. What it would be like, she didn't know. But one thing was certain, it would be better than life with a cheating husband. On Wednesday morning, Carmen got up early, got herself ready, and placed Constantino's bags by the front door. Then she sat in the kitchen with a cup of coffee and waited. Constantino had promised to arrive by 10. At 9:30, Carmen heard familiar footsteps on the stairs. Her heart sped up, but she forced herself to stay calm. The steps stopped at her door. Constantino tried to put his key in the lock. Nothing happened. Damn it, she heard him mutter. What the hell? He tried again. Still nothing. Then came the doorbell. Carmen, open the door. My key doesn't work. Carmen finished her coffee, stood, and walked to the door. Hello, Constantino, she said through the door. Carmen, what's going on? Why won't my key work? Because I changed the locks. Silence. Why? What do you think? Another pause. Carmen could hear him breathing heavily. Carmen, open the door. Let's talk like normal people. We will talk. But I'm not opening the door. Why not? Because you don't live here anymore. Take your things and go. Carmen, have you lost your mind? What the hell is this? Nothing special. Just a chicken singing a different tune. Constantino went quiet. Then she heard him sigh, defeated. You know. I know everything. About Ina Baranos. About the apartment on Avenida de la Juventud. About the 400,000 peso loan. About your divorce plans. And about how you call me a chicken. Carmen, let's talk. We've already talked. Take your things and go to your blonde. Just remember the loan is yours, and you will be the one paying it back. It's our joint debt. No, it's your personal debt. I have receipts from restaurants and stores showing where you spent the loan money. You spent it on your mistress, not on the family. Constantino tried a different tactic. Carmen, don't be childish. So I messed around a bit, it happens to men. But I came back to you, didn't I? You came back to leave me. I heard your conversation with Ina about my compliant personality. What conversation? On the balcony. About how the chicken would spend a week alone and sing a different tune. About how I'm supposedly unattractive and unwanted. Remember? Constantino said nothing. But you miscalculated, Constantino. I'm not as compliant as you thought. And yes, I did sing a different song, a farewell one. Carmen, don't be foolish. We've been together 12 years. 12 years you lied to me, and I was a blind fool who believed you. But now I've opened my eyes. Constantino began to get angry. So what are you going to do now? Sit in this apartment alone? Who needs you at 38? That's my problem. Your problem is how you'll explain to Ina that your brilliant plan didn't work. What plan? The one where I was supposed to beg you to stay and agree to pay off your loan. That plan, Constantino. It failed. Constantino was quiet for a moment, then asked in a different tone. What about my documents? My passport, work papers? They're in a folder, inside one of the bags. Everything's there. And you won't even let me come in? Pack properly? Your things are already packed. There's nothing of yours left in this apartment. What if I call the police? Go ahead. You can explain why the registered tenant disappeared for a week and lied about going to care for a sick mother. Constantino clearly hadn't expected this kind of resistance. He was used to a submissive wife who forgave his every misstep. Carmen, be reasonable. Where am I supposed to go with all these bags? Constantino, she'll take you in with open arms. Aren't you two getting married? She doesn't even know I've left you yet. Well, then it's the perfect time to tell her. Surprise your sweetheart. Constantino stood in silence for a moment, then began gathering the bags. You'll regret this, he said. You'll sit here alone, remembering how good we had it. I won't. You know why? Because the only one who had it good was you. You lied, cheated, spent money on another woman, while I was your unpaid housemaid. I loved you. Loved me? Then why did you call me a chicken? Constantino didn't answer. He took the bags and walked down the stairs. Carmen heard the front door slam shut. Half an hour later, she looked out the window and saw him loading the bags into the same white car. Enna was standing nearby, clearly agitated, gesturing as she spoke. Constantino waved his arms, trying to explain something. Then they got in the car and drove away. Carmen was alone again, but now, this apartment belonged to her alone. 3 days later, Isabel called. Carmen, I've got news about your ex. What kind of news? His blonde dumped him. Can you believe it? Found out the plan failed and kicked him out. Seriously? Seriously. Miguel saw them arguing outside the building on Avenida de la Juventud. She was yelling that he'd promised to get divorced quickly, but turned out to be a loser. And him? He was trying to explain that you weren't as submissive as he expected, but she didn't want to hear it. Said she wasn't about to stick around with a loser who couldn't even control his own wife. Carmen smirked. So, Enna wasn't quite what Constantino had imagined either. And where is he now? Renting a cheap room on the outskirts of town. He's broke, has to start paying off that loan. And Enna? Enna's already found a new sponsor. Younger, richer than Constantino. Your ex's history. Interesting. I thought it was true love between them. Love? It was a transaction. She wanted a provider, he wanted a young mistress. Once the money ran out, so did the love. After the call, Carmen felt a strange sense of satisfaction. Constantino got exactly what he deserved. He'd lost both his wife and his mistress in one move. Most importantly, he now understood that the chicken he mocked had claws. A week later, Ana Sergia called. Carmen, Constantino showed up at my place, complaining that you kicked him out. And what did you say to him? What could I say? That it's his own fault. He lost a good wife for the sake of a floozy. And him? He asked me to talk to you. Said he regrets everything and wants to come back. And what did you say? I told him I wouldn't. He made his bed, now let him lie in it. I'm just passing the message along. Thank you, Ana Sergia. Don't mention it, dear. By the way, he's not looking good. Aged, lost weight. Clearly, life without comfort isn't easy for him. Carmen felt no pity, no anger, only indifference. A month later, Constantino called her himself. Carmen, can we talk? Go ahead, she said. I know I was wrong, really wrong, but maybe there's still a chance for us. No, Constantino, there isn't. Why not? I'm admitting my mistakes. Because there's no trust anymore. And without trust, there's no family. I've changed. Maybe, but I don't care anymore. Carmen, I'm begging you. Goodbye, Constantino. She hung up and never answered his calls again. The divorce was finalized 2 months later. The apartment remained with Carmen, the debt with Constantino. She didn't ask for alimony, and he didn't claim any assets. Isabel visited often. They became real friends, going to the theater, taking weekend trips, even planning a vacation together. Do you regret it? Isabel asked one evening. Regret what? The divorce. That the marriage didn't survive. Carmen thought for a moment. You know, maybe I do, but not the divorce itself. I regret spending so many years on someone who never truly valued me. And now? Are you planning to live alone? I don't know. We'll see. First, I need to get used to being alone, learn how to live for myself. And Carmen really did learn. She signed up for a language course, started going to the theater, bought a swimming pool membership. Bit by bit, life was taking shape again. Constantino tried to see her a few more times. He waited near her building, called her office. But Carmen was resolute. That chapter was closed, and she had no intention of reopening it. 6 months later, Isabel told her that her ex-husband was now dating a divorced woman with 2 children. Looks like he's finally settling down, Isabel said. Found himself a ready-made family. May he be happy, Carmen replied indifferently. And she meant it. She felt nothing at all for the man she had spent 12 years with. Constantino had become a stranger, and she was only just beginning to build her new life. Without lies, without betrayal, without the need to be a compliant little housewife. Now, she was singing a completely different song. A song of a free woman, one who writes her own future. And this song, she liked much better.
If you're enjoying it as well, leave a like and subscribe to the channel.